Welcome to Lasea class. I am your teacher, Jan Lasea.
A blessed day to everyone! Today, we are going to learn modular programming using procedures in 32-bit Windows Assembly Language. Programmers seldom write programs as a one long series of steps. Instead, they break down their programming problems into smaller units and tackle one cohesive task at a time. Each of these smaller units is a procedure. A procedure is a group of statements that exist for the purpose of performing a specific task within a program. Programmers also refer to a procedure as a subroutine, module, function, or method. Almost all programming languages have procedure, such as C++, Python, Java, C Sharp, Pascal, Visual Basic, and many more. The reason why programmers must apply modular programming because of the concept of divide and conquer. Divide and conquer solves a large problem by breaking it down into smaller sub-problems until they can be solved directly. For example, if we face a difficult or complex problem, in order to solve, we break down or divide the problem into sub-problems so that the difficulty will be lessened. Afterwards, we solve the sub-problems one at a time until we solve all the sub-problems. In the end, the solutions for each problem will be combined to obtain the solution to the problem. Like solving the problem of finding all perfect numbers from 1 to 10,000, counting integer numbers. We break down the problem into three sub-problems, namely, is divisible, is perfect number, and find perfect numbers. These three sub-problems are modules or procedures. We write the codes or tasks for each sub-problem or procedure. In the end, we join all the three procedures and we have now solution. We already solved the problem of finding all perfect numbers from natural numbers 1 to 10,000. To apply divide and conquer in writing a code or writing codes is to group a series of instructions as one using a procedure. Call the procedure name to execute the body of the procedure by the CPU. Here is the syntax for defining a procedure in assembly language. First, we need to baptize or name the procedure, and then followed by space, followed by the keyword proc. At the end of the body of the procedure, we rewrite again the name of the procedure, followed by space, and then the keyword np. Inside the body of the procedure, we indent our code so that it will be easier to read. And then the first command that we are going to call inside the body of our procedure is the uh, built-in instruction set command of the CPU, which is push add. This push add will push all registers onto the stack. After calling that command, we place here the codes that will perform a specific task. And then at the end of our code, we call the command, the next command, pop add. And what does it will do? It will pop all registers, its contents, and then it will store it back to all those registers from the stack. And then finally, we call the assembly language command ret that it will exit the procedure. Where to place the definition body of the procedure? We place the definition body of our procedure at the end of the the body of the main procedure, which is main space NP. And then make sure that the place where you write the definition of the procedure must not pass the assembler directive command and followed by space and then the main procedure. The main procedure is where our program begins to execute by the CPU. And for example, we place now our definition of our procedure here, whatever the name, and then followed by the keyword proc, and then at the end of that, we write again the name followed by the keyword NP. So this is the place where you can write not only one procedure definition, but as many as you can. How to call a procedure so that the CPU can execute it. The syntax of calling a procedure in assembly language is by using the keyword command call followed by space and then followed by the name of the procedure that you define. For example, inside the main procedure, I call the procedure name, which is here, and then when that line will be run by the CPU will jump inside the body of the procedure and run all the codes that you place inside the body of the procedure. Whenever the CPU calls the procedure to execute, it uses the stack memory to store the memory address of that line where it called the procedure, so that when the CPU finishes running all the codes of that procedure, the CPU knows where it returns, where it will go next, so that the CPU will execute the next command after calling the procedure. Therefore, we need to learn how the stack works. The stack is a data structure and it is a ordered list in which all insertions and deletions are made at one end, called the top of the stack. The stack in data structure is also called LIFO, or last in first out. This means that the last element inserted on the stack will be the first one to be retrieved, and the first element inserted on the stack will be the last one to be retrieved. To understand the data structure called the stack, last in first out, we usually draw a diagram of that, and here is a diagram down below. As you could see, the stack has already contents. It contains 5 integer numbers, and then at the top of the stack is the integer number 25, and then at the basement of the stack is the integer number 5. So in that idea of last in first out, that 25 will be the first to be retrieved. That 5 down below at the basement will be the last to be retrieved. There are two operations of the stack, namely push and pop. The push operation inserts a new element at the top of the stack, while the pop operation retrieves the element at the top of the stack and deletes or removes it from the stack. The diagram below demonstrates the push and pop operations. For example, we call the command push and then we pass an argument integer number 5. What will happen? It will push that value 5 into the stack. And then now the stack contains one element, which is the integer 5. If we call again another command, which is push and then the value 10, that 10 will be pushed into the stack and it becomes now the top of the stack. And if we call again another command, push, and then this time the value 15, that integer 15 will be pushed onto the stack, which is at the top of the stack. And then if we call this command pop, value is equal to pop, that pop command or operation will retrieve the value at the top of the stack, which is this 15, and at the same time it will delete or remove it from the stack, and then it will return the value 15 to the variable value. Now our stack contains only 2 elements. And if we call again the pop operation, the top of the stack, which is 10, will be retrieved and removed, and it will be stored to the memory variable value. The memory variable value contains the integer 10. Finally, if we call again that pop, and then in our stack, we only have one left remaining element, which is 5. That 5 will be retrieved and it will be removed from the stack, and it will be stored to that memory variable value. Let us take a look in the actual use of the stack when we call a procedure. Inside the main procedure, we call the procedure name input. For example, the memory address in that line call input is located at memory address segment 1000 and offset 10. The CPU will push that memory address into the stack memory. Now our stack now contains now that push memory address of that line call input. After which the CPU will jump in the body definition of the procedure name input. The CPU execute the first command of the procedure input, which is push add command. The push add command push all register values into the stack so that we preserve their values. And then the contents of our stack will look like this. We do not know exactly the values of each and every register. You imagine that instead of that register EDI, ESI, EBP, EDX, ECX, EBX, EAX are placed here, it will be the actual values. We need to preserve the contents of all registers before using them inside the body of a procedure, so that we can avoid logical errors during runtime. When the CPU executes all your written codes inside the procedure, then it executes the pop add. The pop add command will retrieve all the values of the registers that was preserved when we call the push add, and then store it back in its register. And at the same time, it will be remove all the values of each register from our stack. So therefore, the contents of our stack contains only one element, which is now the memory address, memory segment address 1000 and offset 10. When the CPU executes the ret command, then the CPU retrieves first the memory address from the stack. It will pop the last remaining element from the stack, which is that memory address segment 1000 offset 10, and then it will add 4 bytes because it is a 32-bit software or program that we are developing in Win32 assembly language. And then the total memory address is now memory address segment 1000 and offset 14. The CPU will jump to that memory address, where the next command will be executed inside the main procedure. And that next command is the post key, which is located at memory segment address 1000 and offset 14. Let us learn this example written in assembly language that applies procedure. First, we need to write some assembler directives. These directives are commands for the assembler, which is the Microsoft assembler that I am using, like .486. It tells MASM or the Microsoft assembler to use the Intel ET486 instruction. The memory model to be implemented in our executable file of our program will be flat. And then I wrote some other commands for the assembler, like the option command, and then the include. I made a my own library in my assembly program. That's why we need to include the file, let's say .inc. The assembler directive .stack, we indicate how much memory that our stack memory will be enough to be used in our program. And we know already that the procedure call uses the stack a lot. Also, when we declare local variables inside a procedure, it also uses that stack memory. And then the memory of the stack is 256 bytes. And then in the data segment, I declared some memory variables. The following names, such as the colors black until high white, are not memory variables, and also they are not constant memory variables. Using the command EQU in assembly language, it will create a alias name. For example, the alias name of 0 is black, 6 for brown, and then 15 for high white. The assembler later on, when we compile our code, it will replace that black with the actual constant real value of 0. That is the EQU, or equate. I declared global memory variables such as MSG1, defined byte, and it is a string or an array of characters. And the purpose of this MSG1, we will print as a message onto the screen. Another memory variable, which is a string or an array of characters, is message2, MSG2, and then MSG3. Note that a string must have a null character terminator, which is the character 0 or the integer 0, so that we can print it properly. Next, inside the procedure main, also inside the code segment, I called the three procedures, namely draw rectangle 1, draw rectangle 2, draw rectangle 3. The output of calling the procedure draw rectangle 1, it will display a green single border with yellow four color of a rectangle, where the calling of the procedure name draw rectangle 2 will display this brown single border rectangle, and then the call for the draw rectangle 3 will display this blue background color with a high intensity white single border rectangle. This is the definition of the procedure draw rectangle. After we call the procedure push add register, we call the user-defined procedure that I made in my assembly language library, which is fillrect, and then I pass the location where it will draw a filled rectangle at x and y, which is x-axis 10, y-axis 10, and then I assign the width of that filled rectangle, and then the height is 3, and then the fore color is green, and then the background color is green. Next, another user-defined procedure, single border line, that it will draw a frame within this location at x-axis 10, y-axis 10. The width is 36, the height is 2, with a fore color of yellow, and then a background color of green. Next, another user-defined procedure, go to XY. It will move the cursor at X and Y location. In this case, I wanted to move the cursor at x-axis 11, y-axis 11, and it will be inside the frame or the rectangle frame. And then finally, I call the command print and then pass that argument memory variable string msg1, and it will display welcome to Win32 assembly language. This is the definition of the procedure draw rectangle 2, and it will draw this brown double border, not single border but double border rectangle with a message computer programming is fun. Finally, this is the definition of the procedure draw rectangle 3, that it will draw a single border with a blue background color and high intensity white fore color, and it will display the message press the enter key to terminate. Ladies and gentlemen, let us compile, run, and test that example assembly language code that applies procedure. We go to the folder modular programming, and then open up that file prog.asm in Notepad version 2. And I already explained this code that I define 3 procedures, namely draw rectangle 1, draw rectangle 2, draw rectangle 3. And let us compile and run using the Notepad 2. So I click the file menu and then point to launch and then select command, or simply press the keyboard shortcut Control R and then backspace. You type the command M space prog and then hit the enter key or click OK. And here it is. We call the 3 procedures one at a time, and for every call it will display a rectangle with a message with a background and foreground color onto the screen. We can also compile our assembly code in a console window. First, I go here and then type the command cmd, and then we can type dir command, and then simply type m space prog and hit the enter key. And then when there is no error, it compiles into an executable exe file and it will run it, and it will now show the output of our assembly code. If I press any key, it will terminate our program.
That ends our topic for today. I hope you are inspired in my class. Thank you for watching. God bless us.